Hello, welcome to another briefing. This is going to be a special briefing, just talking a little bit about the cold outbreak into um, parts of all the way from Florida into parts of the Caribbean. Very cold Arctic air mass, bringing a lot of Arctic air and polar air very far south. Quite chilly conditions all the way down to the northeastern Caribbean, areas that generally barely dip below 70 degrees are seeing temperatures in some cases in the 50s in parts of Cuba and the Bahamas, even upper 40s in some parts of the Bahamas at night. So very cold conditions. I'm gonna go ahead and show here on the satellite. Um, I'm just gonna pull up my tools because they keep disappearing. So here we go on the satellite. You can clearly see that cold front, this band of moisture here. I'm actually gonna draw it in blue. So this is the boundary between warmer air, that typical warm tropical air mass to the east, and the colder polar air mass, Arctic and polar air stretching all the way down into the Caribbean. So essentially modified Arctic air, um, or polar air. It's coming all the way from the Arctic region, but it modifies quite significantly. Um, and it's more what we consider a continental polar air mass by the time it gets to the Caribbean, but it's still chilly for the standards of the average temperature in the Caribbean. This is very chilly. This is some of the coldest air in over 15 years for parts of South Florida. Miami was 35 degrees this morning. I'm going to go ahead and dive into that a little more. So let's move on to the station plots here. So I'm going to go to Miami here. I'm going to go minimum temperature this morning. And sorry, this is for today. This is already Monday there. We're going to look at Sunday the 31st. Or, sorry, I'm going to look at February 1st, but yeah, here we go. So, as you can see, I believe, here we go. Here's Miami Airport, 35 degrees for a low temperature. That is some of the coldest air in, I believe, 15 years. I think December 2010 was the last time it got that cold in Miami, into the mid 30s at Miami Airport. And you can see here, even down into the Florida Keys, we had temperatures in the upper 40s to right around 52 in the Key West area. Freeport, Bahamas, 43 degrees for a low. 54 in Nassau. Let's zoom out a little bit more. Widespread 40s and 50s in most of Cuba here. Looking at most of these islands south of the Bahamas here in the upper 50s, right out 60. That's pretty chilly air for the Caribbean, mind you. Let me see if I can. Well, it's not letting me show more stations. That's bizarre. Wow. Okay. But it, well, you get the idea. Very chilly air. Let's go ahead to computer model guidance. This is just basically showing you the anomalies of the air temperature at 5,000 feet. We use the 5,000 foot level because it's you have less daytime heating and nighttime cooling, less fluctuation in the temperature throughout the day, and it gives you a good idea of where the air masses are, where the colder air masses, where the warmer air masses. You can clearly see here. You have a pretty cold air mass coming all the way from Canada, spilling down into South Florida and parts of the Caribbean, even into parts of Central America here, into Mexico and a little further south. Pretty cold air, pretty strong anomalies of below 10 Celsius in this core of the cold air mass here. Most of Cuba, the Bahamas, even into Turks and Caicos, about 10 Celsius below average at that 5,000 foot level. We go ahead and move on to the surface temperature anomalies here. This is the projection for tomorrow afternoon, and similar 5 to 10 Celsius below average. For a lot of these areas, you can clearly see here on the anomaly map where the cold front is projected to be by then. It's right past Puerto Rico. It's a little chilly. Not as cold. By the time it gets down there, it's very modified. That's well into the Caribbean at this point, and it's the cold air really modifies very significantly as it moves over these very warm waters. But you can still see a signature of cooler than average conditions, pushing all the way into the Dominican Republic, Jamaica. This is pretty significant here. So let's just go ahead and see if we can get temperature projections for somewhere like Miami. One moment. Southeast. So, I mean, this is the anomaly for tomorrow morning. Temperatures, I mean, dang. Looking at that. So it'd be 1 p.m. Eastern. And you're looking at mid 50s for highs in Miami. Maybe upper 50s to mid 60s for most of the Bahamas. Most of Cuba in the upper 60s for highs. Turks and Caicos just about 70 degrees. That's still way below average. Most of the northern part of the Dominican Republic maxing out around 70 degrees as well. Just very, very chilly compared to average. You can see the anomalies here. Quite significant anomalies all the way into the Dominican Republic here. If you want to look at low temperatures, let's see here. I mean, could be down into the 30s again for the Miami area. You're looking at 40s, 50s for the Bahamas, for Key West. Low 60s, all the way into parts of the southern Bahamas here in eastern Cuba. And then upper 60s. right around 70s, some upper 60s even for northern Dominican Republic here. Pretty chilly air. I mean, you got 50s for most of the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe some upper 40s in the coldest valleys there. Even the Cancun area would be around 55 or 60. It's pretty chilly air. Um, I mean, and then of course Orlando could be upper 20s. Pretty cold. Lots of 20s and 30s throughout the south of the U.S. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have for this briefing. Hope you're able to get something out of that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.